Uh, Continue by previous episode that I talked about 8 keys to forgiveness, and I just read four of them, and today I will continue from 5, 6, 7, and 8. There are 8 key to forgiveness from Robert Enright on a greatergood.berkeley.edu. Talk about uh, uh, forgiveness. Okay, and the previous I talked about key to forgiveness. Number one, know what forgiveness is and why it matters. And number two, become forgivingly fit. Number three, uh, address your inner pain. And number four, develop a forgiving mind through empathy. And today I will talk about key to forgiveness. Number five, find meaning in your suffering. When we suffer a great deal, it is important that we find meaning in what we have endured. Without seeing meaning, a person can lose a sense of purpose, which can lead to hopelessness and a despairing conclusion that there is no meaning to life itself. That doesn't mean we look for suffering in order to grow or to find goodness in another's bad action. Instead, we try to see how our suffering has changed us in a positive way. Even as one suffers, it's possible to develop short-term and sometimes long-range goals in life. Some people begin to think about how they can use their suffering to cope because they've become more resilient or brave. They may also realize that their suffering has altered their perspective regarding what is important in life, changing their long range goals for themselves. To find meaning is not to diminish your pain or to say, I will just make the best of it, or all things happen for a reason. You must always take care to address the wilderness in yourself and to recognize the injustice of the experience or forgiveness will be shallow. Still, there are many ways to find meaning in our suffering. Some may choose to focus more on the beauty of the world or decide to give service to others in need. Some may find meaning to speaking their truth, or by strengthening their inner resolve. If I were to give one answer, it would be that we should use our suffering to become more loving and to pass that love into others. Finding meaning in and of itself is helpful for finding direction in forgiveness. This is the find meaning in your suffering. And uh, number six, key number six to forgiveness is when forgiveness is hard, call upon others' strengths. Forgiveness is always Forgiveness is always hard when we are dealing with deep injustice from others. I've known people who refuse to use the word forgiveness because it just makes them so angry. It's okay. We all have our own timelines for when we can be merciful. But if you want to forgive and are finding it hard, it might help to call upon other resources. First memory that if you are struggling with forgiveness, it doesn't mean you are a failure and at forgiveness. Forgiveness is a process that takes time, patience, and determination. Try not to be harsh on yourself, but be gentle and foster an sense of cue within inner acceptance of yourself. Try to respond to yourself as you would to someone whom you love deeply. Surround yourself with good and whips and wives, people who support you and who have the patience to allow you time to heal in your own way. Also, practice humility, not the not in the sense of putting yourself down, but in realizing that we are all capable of imperfection and suffering. Try to develop courage and patience in yourself to help you in the journey. Also, if you practice bearing small slight against you without lashing out, you give a gift to everyone, not only to the other person, but to everyone whom that person may harm in the future because of your anger. You can help and you can help end the cycle of inflicting pain on others. If you are still finding it hard to forgive, you can choose to practice with someone who is easier to forgive. Maybe someone who hurt you in the small way rather than deeply. Alternatively, it can be better to focus on forgiving the person who is at the root of your pain. Maybe a parent who was abusive or the spouse who betrays you. If this initial initiate initial heart initial hurt impacts other parts of your life and other relationships, it may be necessary to start there. And this is when forgiveness is hard, call upon other strengths. And number 7, forgive yourself. Most of us tend to be harder on ourselves than we are on others, and we struggle to love ourselves. If you are not feeling lovable because of actions you have taken, you may need to work on self-forgiveness and offer to yourself what you offer to others who, who have hurt you, a sense of inherent worth despite your action. In self-forgiveness, you honor yourself as a person, even if you are imperfect, if you are broken your personal standards in the serious way. There is a danger of sliding into self-loathing. When this happens, you may not take good care of yourself. You might overeat or oversleep or start smoking or engage in other forms of self-punishment. You need to recognize this and move towards self-compassion. Soften, soften your heart toward yourself. After you have been able to self-forgive, you will also need to engage in seeking forgiveness from others whom you've harmed and right the wrongs as best as you can. It's important to be prepared for the responsibility that the other person may not be ready to forgive. to forgive you and to practice patience and humility. But a sincere apology, free of conditions and expectations, will go a long way toward your receiving forgiveness in the end. Meaning of forgive yourself. And the last one, number 8, develop a forgiving heart. When we overcome suffering, we gain a more mature understanding of what it means to be humble, uh, courageous, and loving in the world. We may be moved to create an atmosphere of forgiveness in our homes and workplace to help others who've been harmed overcome their suffering, or to protect our communities from a cycle of hatred, hatred and violence. All of these choices can lighten the heart and bring joy to one's life. Some people may believe that love for another who harms you is not possible, but I have found that many people who forgive eventually find a way to open their hearts. If you shed bitterness and put love in its place, and then repeat this with many other people, you become free to love more widely and deeply. This kind of transformation can create a legacy of love that will live on long after you've gone. And this is all from the Robert Enright talked about 8 keys to forgiveness. I will recap again. Number 1 is know what forgiveness is and why it matters. And number 2, become forgivingly fit. And number 3, address your inner pain. Number 4, develop a forgiving mind through empathy. And you can uh, come back to my previous episode and listen about the context, the description of it. Number 5, find meaning in your suffering. Number 6, when forgiveness is hard, call upon other strengths. Number 7, forgive yourself. And number 8, develop a forgiving heart. And this is all from greater dot greater greatergood dot berkeley.edu, talked about 8 keys to forgiveness by Robert Enright. And that's it from Rich Matter Podcast today. Thank you so much.